Now take a breather. Listen to what I'm about to say, okay? If you are feeling overwhelmed or stressed by a lot of these techniques and know-how, knowledge, shreducation, okay? I sound like an American TV infomercial at this point. But that aside, I do want to briefly share with you how I personally go ahead and actually compose and absorb all of this, and how I would learn these kind of techniques in a musical context, okay? Now sit down, pour a glass of wine. I just want to share this with you. This is an intimate moment between myself and you, okay? Now, it is very important to understand that with all of this stuff, the polymetrics, the crazy combinations of techniques when you're thinking about what the drummer's doing, what the bass player's doing, what the singer's doing, I'm not actually thinking of it simultaneously, okay? People come up to me quite often and say, how do you split your brain into all these different parts? The simple answer, and I don't want you to tell anyone this, I don't. I absolutely don't. What I do is go through one beat at a time when I'm learning or writing a song, okay? In that beat, I will say, what is the drummer doing? What is the bass player doing? Etc., etc. And I will commit that to memory as a single motion, okay? And this is just technical advice. For example, say I'm playing a chord, okay? So this is my chord. I know what the rhythm guitar is doing. I know that the bass player is playing this note. I know that the bass drum is doing this, okay? So what I'll do is I'll find the technique and the technical combination to play that chord and combine all of those motions, okay? In the moment when I'm performing it, I'm not thinking about the multiple parts. I've just practiced it enough so that this is muscle memory. Then I'll move on to the next beat, etc., etc. These things take time to learn, but just go one beat at a time. The same thing goes for the polymetric sections. People come up to me all the time and say, how do you think in these two different time signatures simultaneously? You do not. You go one beat at a time, learn it, and then in practice when you're performing, I'm just focusing on what one of the hands is doing, and the other hand is so locked in, it's synced to muscle memory. That's the stage you've got to get to. And there's no substitute for practice, okay? But really, do not try and think about everything at the same time. It will be muscle memory once you get it. And then just focus on what one hand is doing, just to keep you locked in. Focus on what the thumb's doing in practice, and the rest of it through muscle memory will come together. Now, one other little piece of advice I'd say, and this is proven by the good folks at Science, is that should you lose your way when performing something like this, a piece of music with multiple parts, do not fear if you get a little wobbly, okay? It's actually impossible, as far as I'm aware, at least that's what I tell myself, to come into a piece of music once you have, say, forgotten what your place. It's impossible to come back at any point. There are certain cue points that your brain creates when doing something like that, say the start of a verse or bar 7 of the chorus, certain cue points that you will be able to come back in comfortably. Just understand that when performing, it's okay to sometimes lose your way and make mistakes on your journey. Obviously, ideally, we want to play everything completely accurately. But when you learn these techniques, as I'm teaching you, hopefully you'll be comfortable enough to improvise your way through this kind of minefield of errors, okay? Now, ideally, you will come out the other side with perfect performances and compositions that you are immensely proud of. But just know that there's nothing wrong with sitting back, taking a breath, and diving back into it at a point you feel comfortable, okay? So those two little nuggets of advice I thought were very important to translate here, simply because these are questions that I get asked fairly often, okay? I hope that helps you. If it doesn't help you at all, that's absolutely fine. You're on your own path and doing your own thing. Perhaps you already know this stuff. But if one of you watching right now can feel relieved by that and feel that all of this is more achievable, then that's a really, really good thing, okay? So that aside, let's carry on with the course here, and best of luck.